Chapter 1-7. The hero moves forward. His classmates are walking down the stairs. A friend encourages them not to run away after dinner. Then Yonghui notices Lin Mo. She marvels at what he could do on his own to get so high. Sung also notes that he's not like the other guys who have the same personality, exhausted faces, but he emphasizes that the walk was enough and the top was high. Because of what everyone is exhausted, so the girl suggests that everyone go to a restaurant together and eat at her expense. The emperor declines this offer, wishing to see the landscapes from above. Yang Hui calmly lets him go. Which of the guys claims that if he wants to go, then let it go. But the neighbor at the desk does not believe that the fat man is strong enough for such a thing. Lift. 20 minutes pass. Dripping with sweat and losing a lot of strength, the guy still gets to the top. In a small open house sits Yutan, who mentally does not believe. To your own eyes. The blonde notices to herself that this is all rather sad, because he fell behind on the floor on the way, so even though he had climbed to the top, his classmates had already descended, so he would still behind. She thinks he's a jerk who made it to the top alone. Girl, he expects to be teased on the way back. Lin Mo didn't really care about that. The reborn closes his eyes, sensing that there is indeed an aura on the mountaintop, even though it is not visible. And not much, but he can practice here. He notices that he still has a chance to win. Mo Zun. The hero decides that as long as there is an opportunity to practice, he will come to this meeting. It doesn't matter how long it takes. Just then, Yutan's hand falls on his shoulder and she is looking at him. She wants to know what he's doing. The guy replies that he's just admiring the views. The girl counts it. Boring. His stern face and silence irritate her. Lin Mo similarly counts the blonde. Boring, because in his world, there were many dead cultivators like her. The girl states that this place is occupied by her, so he needs to go down the mountain immediately. The emperor didn't. He understands why she's driving him away, because he can't walk anymore. Here the interlocutor throws him a strange bundle stating that it will only allow it once. She wants him to be her rival. Tomorrow, she is very bored, so she suggests going downstairs. Lin Mo opens the wrapper and sees a sandwich that has been bitten off. He makes a mental note not to underestimate the emperor. After all, in the past, he ate troops of animals for cultivation, and these are small things, and this is exactly as much as is needed for this body. He takes the lotus position, starting to clean up. Evening comes. The guy decides to call Sun and let her know that he is stay on the mountain for a few days. This surprises the girl, but decides not to resist it. So please don't overdo it. The reborn one notices that nature is here. Just gorgeous. The neighbor takes it for granted, warning him that he might call if you need anything. Then, he decides to call Aunt Lin Lai. Their conversation is very short. The guy just says he's going to stay somewhere for the holidays. That's more than enough. After that, Lin Mo walks over to the counter where a man in formal attire is standing. In addition, asking what the guy needs. The brunette learns about the cost of a single room for 2 months. He is informed that it will cost 8,000 yuan. The guy agrees to this price. And so, Lin Mo began practice during the holidays. Every day, he would climb the mountain, meditate on it, and then I used to bring the body to exhaustion in the gym with the help of iron. 2 months pass quickly. Sun calls him on the phone from the backseat of the car. She notices that it's coming soon and asks if he's ready. The guy gives a positive response, thanks for what she will pick up. It turns out that the girl decided to take advantage of the debt from a neighbor. When the neighbor hangs up, then she mentally curses at her friend because she hasn't communicated with anyone all these days, and Zhao Yutang. In general, I tortured her. A representative of the fair sex decides that she should drag the guy to the U-town. Lin Mo looks at herself in the mirror reflection. Fat is gone, and instead of a huge belly, there were abs cubes, but he is not happy about it, because the spiritual power leaves much to be desired. He realizes that he will have to continue pretending to be a high school student. Sun knocks on the door. The hero opens up to her when she is happy that she finally caught him. Here, the girl finally turns her attention to her friend. The pupils of her eyes narrow. In front of her is a handsome young man. She nervously notices that she went in the wrong place because she was looking for her own. A classmate. A neighbor pays attention to her long legs, feeling that her heart is not beating. It holds up. She had already come up with a name for their child. She apologizes, starting to leave. In her mind, Sun curses herself for staring at him for so long. Pretty boy, because he might think she was a pervert. Then Lin Mo finally notes that I got it right. The girl still can't believe what she saw, considering that she met an acquaintance of a friend in room 107. Here the reborn declares that he is Lin Mo. The beauty freezes for a few seconds, then says that Tom should not joke like that, although she admits that their voices are very similar. The hero claims that he just lost weight, so he doesn't understand why she's so surprised. These words unsettle Sun, so she says, "I'm not sure." Decides to clarify what it means for the other person to lose weight. Just a representative. The fairer sex sees things differently. Back, hair color, legs, all this changed at a young age. A person, it's like it's been completely updated. The emperor grabs his bag, asking whether the car has already arrived. The interviewee gives a positive answer. Then her friend realizes that the guy has a very cold look and tone, so it really is Lin Mo. The girl realizes that she is facing a real dream. She admits that she told him that fat people have potential, but she never thought it would be true. Sun gives himself a sobering bream to come to his senses. A representative of the fair sex. Mentally praise yourself from the past. After all, she never laughed at Lin Mo because of his weight, right? That their relationship should be fine. She rushes out of her seat, wanting to help the guy with a bag. He is already approaching the car, where another girl approaches him, wanting to help with things. Sun takes off, telling her rival to stop it. She runs to the car and opens the door to the guy, inviting him to sit down. When the three of them are driving back, the girlfriend starts conversation. At first, she notices that everyone would think that the other person is some kind of idol. Then she wonders how he managed to lose weight so quickly, and if he ever climbed every day on the mountain. Lin Mo gives a positive short answer. Beauty doesn't believe that it's possible to lose so much in just one vacation. She praises the guy while doing a few compliments. Sun notes that he's done a great job, so if Yang Hui could see him now, she'd be leading the way. She acts like a little dog, but she encourages him not to pay attention to her, because such people are just like her. They bring trouble. A friend notes that a friend has become a real handsome man, so on. A lot of girls will pay attention to him, but he should not stare at them, because they are. They only want to be with him because of their looks. Lin Mo asks her to keep her voice down. Beauty. He is afraid of this tone, believing that all this is due to the attitude of society towards the guy earlier. She also suggests that if she had been kinder to Lin Mo, he would have fallen in love with her, however song. She realizes that she still has a chance, because compared to others, she is the closest to Lin Mo. A friend says that the guy should have a good rest, because all the holidays he worked hard, and she is ready to treat him to something delicious. The emperor refuses this offer, wishing they'd just take him where he needed to go. The rest of the trip takes place in silence. When they reach the hero's house, the latter says goodbye to the girl without words and leaves. Meanwhile, a conversation starts between the driver and the girl while Yunshu is enjoying himself. Lin Mo's beautiful back. The driver notices that the interlocutor said that she wants Lin to. Mo met up with Yutan. Sun refuses these words and decides to go home. She can't send Lin Mo the sheep to Yutan the wolf. She wants to use his account later to deal with Yutan, even if the game is fine. At this time, the hero enters the house. Trio relatives immediately tense up, not recognizing the young man opposite someone. A friend. My aunt immediately rushes to find out who he is and how he got here. The emperor again. He gives his name, noting that he just lost weight during the holidays. My cousin doesn't believe that, considering them nonsense, because even if he had lost weight, he clearly would not have become like the interlocutor. Zixuan thinks that the handsome young man is just pretending to be Lin Mo, and shuts him up, asking the hero if he has had plastic surgery. The reborn one doesn't understand how he should. It was possible to make it, if all his money is under her control. He starts eating, asking, I don't know if you'll have any pocket money this semester. Lin Lai tells him that she will give him money and help him with his school uniform. But if he doesn't want to go to school, then he will have to go to school. If she dares to do something inappropriate, she will immediately take all the money. Lin Mo gets up from the table. By agreeing to these terms and conditions, he adds that he is full, and goes to the second floor to his room. A room. At that moment, the woman realizes that Lin Mo is indeed standing in front of her. To the next day, two guys ride in a car driven by a girl. Zixuan notices that his sister, it's going too slow today. In fact, the beauty just can't take her eyes off the Lin Mo, who had changed a lot since their last meeting. When do they arrive at school? And the reborn leaves the car, all the students admiring his physique. They are not. They know who it is, but several girls notice its beautiful long legs. Such a reaction. Those around them are angered by their cousin, who curses them. As Lin Mo walks through the corridors of the school, he realizes that everyone present is behaving inappropriately, because they take pictures of him from behind. Entering the classroom, the guy feels the eyes of girls who do not know him. They may look away from it, assuming that someone new has transferred to them. Sitting down in your seat, the guy understands that after losing weight, he began to look a little better than other people. Through windows in the classroom are watched by a crowd of fans, each of whom wants to attract the attention of a handsome man. He doesn't think he's that pretty, though. The emperor understands that the reason for this attraction is spiritual energy comes to him. Here 2 girls enter the class. One claims to be a sister, blatantly deceiving her. Yu Tang brings Song by the scruff of the neck to class, wanting her to bring her back in 3. Give her the fat man. The same one declares that he is no longer fat. Blonde asserts that the mouth, the other party, is rotten, so she will only stop crying when she sees the coffin lid. Yunshu, he wants to justify himself. The neighbor abruptly points her finger at the last desk, saying that Lin Mo just lost weight. Everyone in the room starts laughing at this, and Yu Tan thinks she's playing with her. There's a hero here. She decides to step in, noting that Yunshu didn't lie, and if the blonde is so eager to arrange, if there is a battle, then you will have to wait for the end of classes. The girl doesn't understand how a guy dares to do that. Communicate with her. Song once again confirms that this is indeed Lin Mo, who has spent all the time in the past vacation on Mount Waju and lost weight. Yu Tan looks up, comparing the guy now and 2 months old. Beck, there are indeed similarities between these 2 people. Yu Tang walks up to the hero's desk, asking if he's really that fat guy. The guy demands not to be named. It's like this. Such an answer makes the girl recognize Lin Mo in the interlocutor, because this is what she says. Voice and manner of speech. The blonde notices that it doesn't matter if he is fat or thin, because he is in a bad mood. In any case, you should stay after school. Yunshu tries to protect his friend by saying that, in fact, she had only called Ling Mo to help her, and Ling Mo really didn't want to help her at all. Knows how to play games. These words anger Yu Tan, who says that her sister doesn't dare to say such a thing. His game, because it is nothing of itself. The blonde emphasizes that the girl, I used his account to call her and still haven't paid for it, so she, the most unscrupulous person she'd ever met. That's when Sung realizes what it is. A real disaster. The neighbor actually cheated on Zhao Yutang for Lin Mo's sake. 2 girls approach Yunshu, deciding. Ask her how she knew that this handsome man was Lin Mo. One of them doesn't understand how that can look so good even if he has lost weight. Another suggests that it might be plastic. The teacher enters the classroom, asking everyone to go to their seats and get ready for the lesson. When everyone fulfills the woman's requirements, she admits that she doesn't even know how to pass them. Holidays. Then her sharp gaze turns to the last desk. She doesn't recognize Lin Mo, assuming that he just got the wrong class. Yunshu is responsible for the guy, who claims that my friend just got in shape. The woman notes that it must be hard to change in a short time. Just a vacation. She suggests that he change his place this semester. My desk mate is against it. Then it turns out that all the girls in the class want to take Yunshu's place. One beauty declares that Sun wants to switch places with her. The latter claims that this did not happen. Another, a classmate, notes that she has grown up and should sit in the back. Yunshu asks her not to make it up, because Wang Lu even came to her in her underwear. The girl is ready until the very end. Guard your place. The teacher asks Yunshu to get up from her seat. It hits her, and the 2 classmates help her get to a new place. Then one of the guys asks Yu Zixuan, did Lin Mo get plastic surgery? He doesn't even know. The teacher asks to sit next to Lin Mo Lai Jian. Song is put in Lai Jian's place. The latter, by the way, is quite plump. Boy, the hero is glad that his new neighbor is also calm, because now no one can see him. It will be annoying. While Yunshu is crying from what happened, the lesson ends quickly. As soon as the bell rings, the emperor rises from his seat. A crowd of girls immediately approaches him. The first one notes that the guy is very cool, because she died after climbing the mountain, and he climbed every day. The second girl asks for a couple of tips for losing weight, because her brother also wants to do it. In return, she would buy him dinner. Yunshu tries to make her way through the crowd, realizing that they are all hypocrites, because no one was willing to talk to Lin Mo before. But when Lin Mo changed, all of them had been carried away, but she hadn't disliked him to begin with. Hero, calm down. He approaches the crowd and asks to be allowed to pass. The girls immediately step aside. Some of them, I even like that Lin Mo is their dynamite. Zixuan finds it disgusting. A classmate. They notice the reaction of the pretty boy in class. One of them understands that a person cannot sit at once on 2 chairs. The friend declares that she chooses Lin Mo. The emperor goes to the dining room. One of his classmates calls him to her, claiming that he can join the queue with her. He refuses, going to the end of the queue and mentally noting that it is unlikely that he will be able to avoid attracting attention. when it is in. Sometimes he feels the closeness of women who seem too crazy to him. At this point, Yang Hui looks at the hero and decides to ask his cousin if it's really Lin Mo. It makes the guy angry. After all, he understands that she began to regret parting with him after he got prettier. The blonde claims that she is a superficial person, so she does not care about his appearance. The conversation is interrupted by another girl who wants to make a pass at Lin Mo, so she asks for help from friends. Zixian can't believe his ears, because he still believes that the relative did plastic surgery. The same one claims that it doesn't matter what he did there, but most importantly, what impression he made. He produces, so she likes him for his character. Yang Hui understands that this is a real hypocrisy. Then she comes to her senses, realizing that these men have clipped their eyelids and claimed that it is not. Well, that's hypocritical, but what if she could become a leggy beauty like Lin Mo? Even if the legs were artificial, she would have agreed. At this point, the girl claims that she is determined. The reborn takes food from. He is about to leave school for lunch, but a girl blocks his way. He decides to find out what she wants. Yang Hui decides to apologize for the things she did. He must, to understand that the incident was very unexpected, and she was immersed in her studies, and when they told her about marriage, and she couldn't accept it. The hero simply passes by without expressing any emotions about it. The girl, realizing that she was simply ignored, asks him to wait. Lin Mo stops, asking what else. Yang Hui asks to forgive her, because all that she has done is to forgive her. I said it was too hasty. The emperor responds with a meaningful HM, after which he leaves. She doesn't understand why he's so cold. She assumes that the guy has changed. Because of her, he wouldn't change his mind, so he didn't forgive her. As he walked down the street, the emperor realized that there was no one on the roof right now. Then he notices a friend, the figure of a girl in front. He understands that this girl is planning to take over the roof again. Lin Mo. She notices that even though it looks childish, the emperor loses to her. He quickens his pace. The girl notices this, realizing that this man is following her. He reminds her of a fat man, even if he doesn't know what to do. It looks much better than that one. The hero quickly passes next to her. Beauty exhales, admitting that he didn't want to do anything to her. That's when she notices that he really wants to go to the roof. The demon catches up with the hero on the stairs. She wasn't going to give in to him. With a confident and fast step, she steps around him, pushing forward. The emperor notices that the girl has also sped up at him. The assumption begins to appear that she wants to squeeze out his place. It speeds up by exiting. Go ahead and notice to yourself that even a mortal can make a mistake. The demon doesn't intend to surrender. Their eyes collide for a moment. They are annoyed by the situation, but none of them are. I'm not ready to accept defeat. They rush forward. The girl begins to lag behind a little, mentally noticing that guys should be more active. Restrained, she knows she's giving in to him now. The brunette does not understand where the guy came from. Such speed, however, she believes that if she loses, it will be a disgrace to all the girls. At this time, a classmate of the hero looks with incomprehension at the stairs on which they climbed. Clouds of dust from the couples run. The demon decides to ask what's going on and why Lin Mo is running. The same notes that she does the same thing herself. The girl claims that the guy first started running, so she ran too. The hero calls her sick, not seeing the connection between his running and hers. This insult makes the brunette lose her temper, so she warns the interlocutor that such an insult is not possible. A guy who is always fighting and arguing with girls is at risk of never getting married. Reborn. But he doesn't want to, because he's a tall man, the emperor, so he just can't get married. The guy decides to respond with a tease to the girl's words, saying that she has no manners, so she's also trying to pick up a guy. The demon isn't ready to lose, so when they get close to, she blocks his path with her arm as he steps out into the street. Lin Mo does the same thing, letting her go ahead. They start to fight, pointing their fists at each other. Each of them orders the other to leave. The emperor understands that he will have to use brute force. He doesn't hesitate to push the beauty away, getting in front of her. At this point, he touches his elbows, her sensitive area, causing confusion to the opponent, which translates into embarrassment. Lin Mo declares that the girl has lost, and this is his territory now. The demon doesn't understand how it works. She dares to act like this without even knowing who she is. It also reminds you that the person you are talking to is only one person. For touching her pineapple. At these words, the beauty approaches the guy. The emperor is the same. Prescribes her savory bream, stating that it was she who touched this place to his hand. These actions put a girl in a stupor. Lin Mo makes a mental note that it was very dangerous. After all, he had forgotten that men in this world are quite vulnerable, so don't be too calm. It would look strange, but this way everything should be more or less normal. The demon clenches his fist, angry at what was happening and not believing that it was all her fault. The guy gets it. Phone, saying that if the girl didn't leave, he would call the police. The interlocutor is the same, is furious. She wants to wring the neck of an arrogant mortal with every fiber of her being. Lin Mo clarifies what she needs and whether she wants to do something else. The demon doesn't know what to say. After all, she understands something. In this world, women who beat men are despised. If he does, he won't be able to stay in school. The girl realizes that the enemy deliberately put her in such an awkward position, but she has to say something. She is aware that even anyone who thinks sensibly may be biased, so you need to destroy it. The girl points at the guy with her finger, stating that she will let him go this time, but next time, if she does it. She starts walking away, saying that men and bad guys are so hard. Nurture. The guy sits on the roof, noticing that he coped, but this woman makes him a lot of trouble. He decides to watch the news, because it was supposed to come out. Continuation. What he sees surprises him. The amount of compensation was too large. Therefore, it was cancelled after an appeal of the court's decision. Thousands of chickens at the poultry farm, suspected of being infected with the virus. Overnight, they became corpses. The hero does not understand what kind of corpses we are talking about, because the demon lord has the most durable sword in the world, and everyone who touches it will become dry bones. It assumes that this is a job, his sword, but in the final battle, the demon lord was destroyed along with the void. The imperial sword was also destroyed, and then it ended up here. After hearing the latest news, Lin Mo assumes that Mo Zong is also alive. The demon lord had killed, and he had chosen a heavenly path to become an immortal. She needs to kill to regain her strength. The hero is not. May allow her to recover. He decides to see the whole situation with his own eyes. Evening. It comes unnoticed. The hero leaves the classroom in a hurry. One of my classmates is in love. She looks at him with her eyes, saying that even if it's plastic, she accepts it. A friend asks. She has to come to her senses because people are staring at her. Yunshu also reminds that the guy needs to play with little sister Zhao and then she can pick him up. The emperor replies that it is not necessary. Then Sung notices that it's better to go together because Tom won't be able to do it. It's worth looking at little sister Zhao because girls are real predators. Girl tells about a guy who was deceived by his classmates and then he jumped from the roof to the ground. The next day, the hero asks not to snuggle up to him and emphasizes that he did not intend to go. The interlocutor understands that the friend misunderstood everything. Then she notices that he's leaving, so she says, "I'm sorry." Nervously, he asks if he's going to do it again. The brunette explains that he is in a hurry, but the beauty reminds him that Yutan has been hunting for him all the holidays. Lin Mo decides that he has. There's no time to deal with all this right now. Yunshu claims that he can go and not worry about your little sister because she will explain everything to her. In fact, Song's head appeared. A brilliant plan. She believes that if she constantly helps him, then he will thank her, which will only increase his affection. The hero gets into a taxi, leaving to the poultry farm, which is located near the outskirts, because if this is true Vladika of the demons, he will do everything to prevent her soul from being restored and destroy it. Lin Mo gets out of the taxi. He understands that the imperial force is very small, but it is necessary to somehow use it. The hero increases his perception and senses the presence of a demon. It recognizes this cold demonic energy gave Mo Zong strength, realizing that the latter was still alive. Here next to, a motorcycle stops in front of them. This gets his attention. The girl takes off her helmet, saying that, "I saw him from afar." Yu Tang doesn't understand why the hell a grown guy would walk around in a place like this. The emperor is the same. He stresses to himself that their meeting in such a place cannot be accidental. He has one assumption. Reborn reports that he called a taxi home and realized halfway through that the driver tries to take him out of the city, after which he jumped out of the car. Blonde instructively tells him that he is not the same fat man as before, so he needs to be careful with women who think only with their genitals. Yu Tan talks about latest news. It turns out that teenagers are abducted and taken to the countryside, and then left in a prison in the basement, so she encourages the other person not to run into problems. Blonde, she asks him if he remembered the license plate of the car, because she's ready to call the police. Dark hair gives a negative answer. The girl exhales heavily, telling him that he needs to forget about it, and she's going to finish something and pick him up. The emperor is amazed that this woman dares him to give orders, but he assumes that she also came because of the magic here. The reborn person becomes more interested in this world. Here is a beautiful woman, tying a windbreaker on her belt, is returning. This causes confusion in the guy. Yutan notes that losing weight is very difficult, after which she asks him to stretch his head here. Then she puts a biker helmet on his head, saying that it is necessary for his own safety, because otherwise he might cause her problems. The emperor leans on her motorcycle, the blonde one. There is embarrassment on his face, because he looks better than bikers from the internet. Lin Mo knocks. He ran his finger along the helmet, noticing that it was rather fragile, so it was unlikely that he could wear it. Use it as protection. The girl realizes that the fat man is really good, and then she abruptly. He comes to, giving a mental slap in the face. She urges him to stop knocking, because it's hers, a custom helmet, and if he breaks it, she will throw it away, and it will get stuck somewhere in the water. The village. After a few seconds, the reborn realizes that this girl is heading straight for the source. Energy consumption. He feels something is wrong, so he takes off to check his guess. Yutan says it's here. The territory is fenced with a ribbon, but this does not stop it. She meets up with a woman who is sweeping the yard. She asks what the girl is looking for here. The blonde pulls out a gun from behind her back, noting that she saw her and didn't run away, which is very important. Boldly, the woman falls on her heel, amazed that a gun is pointed at her. She asks for, so don't joke around, because it's against the law. Yutan then clarifies that a fucking cultivator can know about the law. The woman hears that the cultivator is a shoe repairman, so he corrects her, saying that she doesn't do this, but just works on a poultry farm. In that, the moment a dagger appears from her sleeve, a gunshot sounds. A bullet hits the shoulder of a woman who begs not to kill her. The blonde notes that the interlocutor has excellent acting skills, but still needs to loosen her tongue. At this time, a strange energy begins to radiate from her gun. Per couple, in a few moments, the firearm turns into a sword. The woman fully declares that she is not. She is a cultivator, and she did not harm anyone, but simply raised chickens. Besides, she doesn't have any spiritual energy, so she did it. Yutan notices that today, it improves animals, and tomorrow people. She suggests that the interlocutor improve themselves, because at least, she's had a bit of practice, but is full of talents. Cultivation is comparable to by cultivating as a monk for 10 years. A woman's face changes, because she recognizes the girl's rightness. A killing intent appears in her eyes, and sharp claws grow on her fingers. She is going to pounce on the blonde, believing that after the murder the latter will become many times stronger. Yutan points out that it would be nice, but the opponent won't be able to do it. Blonde snaps at a woman who has begun to change her form into a demonic one. Her body, it turns black, becoming covered with a layer of muscle. The girl's sharp sword pierces her, but it doesn't. It has a serious effect. The emperor watches from a hiding place, knowing that this is a bad thing. After all, this energy resembles the aura of a demonic sword, so the woman is strong. For a woman, it grows a beak like a bird's, and Yutan is amazed at what he sees, because this aura is not at all like a bird's. Those cultivators that she had met before. Huge wings appear behind the demon's back. Height, the monster is twice as tall as a blonde. The demon attacks sharply. Her claws sweep through the air, a few inches from the girl's eyes. Beauty jumps out of the way of the impact, the shock wave from which destroys the stone. The fence is 10 meters behind her. She knows that if she hadn't dodged, she definitely wouldn't have. I survived that blow. The girl decides to use her trump card, because there is no way out. Demon. He raises his fist to strike, and the blonde throws a piece of paper. This is a spiritual sword talisman that stabs the enemy in the head. Yutan already considers himself the winner, but the opponent opens the door. Eyes. This comes as a surprise to her. In the next instant, a powerful demon strike overtakes the beauty, driving her into a stone wall. A painful cough comes out of the blonde's mouth, accompanied by blood clots. She realizes that she really lost this time. Then Lin Mo stands between her and the demons, who looks at the opponent with a confident gaze. Yutan marvels at this development. The girl quickly comes to her senses. She calls on the guy to run, because she believes that all his attempts to run away are worth it. Useless. The same one asks you to trust him and just don't look back. Lin Mo's forehead appears, mark, and he summons a magic sword, releasing his power. The demon stops, breaking. Your attack. Yutan immediately notices this, not understanding why the enemy has stopped. The emperor explains that the reason for stopping the monster is its appearance. The demon starts, tremble, and then completely intends to run back. The hero's hair grows back to the shoulder blades, acquiring a white color, and from behind appears his divine image, which is in the form of an entity. It puts pressure on all living things in the area. The demon is literally driven into the ground, but so is Yutan. It doesn't get too bad. She falls to her knees, unable to even breathe. Looking at the fat man's back, the girl tries to figure out who he is. At this time, the Gyuan temple in Leabe City is hosting some advice. The main master on it says that the husband gives birth to heaven and earth, yin and yang. It contains everything that exists, and those who are not easy to learn are called Taoists. He also notes that encouraging morals, correcting discipline, and achieving immortal karma are their goals. Here it is. My eyes widen in shock. Students jump up from their seats as the bell rings. One of them asks the master why the Yuandao bell is ringing. Another notes that the bell rings only when something important is happening. The master falls to his knees. Students run to him, trying to figure out what's wrong with him. It happened to him. The same one says only one word: rebirth. At this time, the emperor asks the enemy where the demon lord is. Then he notices that the enemy is moving too fast. I've lost my spiritual powers, so it's only a fragment of my power. Lin Mo drains the energy from the creature, turning it into a crystal. This may be a challenge for him, but even a fragment can be useful to them. After that, he turns to the girl. Yu Tan looks at the boy carefully, admiring his beauty. The hero uses his power, telling her to forget everything she saw. A moment later, the blonde falls to the ground, losing consciousness. Conscience. The hero also realizes that this is Zhao Yu Tan. She's 17 years old. She has a soul, qualities, and the last level of Kai purification. Even in the world of immortals, it can be called a true genius cultivator, but it also proves that she has a special power. However, the emperor thinks that in this world, it doesn't matter how talented you are, because it's just useless. Then the guy's heart skips a beat. He feels that he is getting worse. It's all because of the leftovers. Souls. He wants to believe that it won't hurt him too much. He grabs his heart, starting to walk home, realizing that it is necessary to return faster. Suddenly, two pumped-up girls get in his way. Young ladies. One of them throws a hand over the reborn's shoulder, offering to go to the temple. One nice place. The guy urges them to let him go. Otherwise they shouldn't blame him for rudeness. One of the girls wrings Lin Mo's hand, asking him not to be stubborn, because it will be very difficult. Rudely, the emperor also understands that he is seriously in trouble, because he has almost no strength left, which is why he does not can use it. Girls demand that the guy obey them, and he does not believe that on really so popular. Just then, Yu Tan appears behind the two girls, who has regained her senses. Just in time, she orders the two girls to leave, then attacks them. The opponent dodges the first blow to the face, but the blonde does not hesitate, holding the blow in the center, the torso that overtakes the girl. Her friend breaks down on the impudent girl, going to. He smacks her pretty face, but Yu Tan gets ahead of her by kicking her in the jaw. The blonde approaches the hero and begins to reprimand him for not resisting. She thinks he should have hit her as soon as he saw her. Lin Mo doesn't understand what's going on at all. The girl explains what and where to hit, but seeing a lack of understanding in the eyes of the interlocutor, asks if they know anything about male self-defense. The emperor is mentally amazed, because does it even make any difference if he knows or not? Yu Tang walks past the guy, saying that they should. I need to get him back, and it's too weird a day. She throws it into the guy's arms. Helmet, ordering you to put on and get on the bike. Lin Mo does so, but he is very careful. He holds her by the waist. The girl notices this, so she asks him to take her by the waist, because he does not need to. Don't underestimate the speed. The reborn fulfills the request, although in his world to embrace. The girl in this way was considered indecent, but here you can take the initiative and hug. It's so. It was a bit unpredictable for him. Feeling the speed of the vehicle, the guy admits that it is not so fast, because if he improves his sword, he will be able to fly even faster. After a while, they get to the hero's home. The latter takes off his helmet, thanks for the fact that the girl threw it, and she asks if she needs to pay. Yu Tan is angered by this question, because it becomes unclear for whom. The guy generally accepts it. She asks if he was sweating while wearing a helmet. The emperor gives a negative response, asking not to be called fat anymore. Here Yu Tan admits that even already, I forgot how fat he used to be. Then something dawns on her. She asks roughly. The guy ran it again. Lin Mo clucks loudly that he can't escape the beauty's gaze. Blonde reminds him that she told him to wait for her after school, so it's important for her to know why he's here. Escaped. The brunette notes that the family told him to quickly go home after school, because on the but you can't stay alone for long, and if he did, the girl wouldn't let him go. Then, Lin Mo stresses that as a girl, it's not too difficult for her to stand up to guys. This strikes Yu Tang to the core, but their conversation is interrupted by the phone ringing. The blonde picks up the phone and says that everything is over, although the target turned out to be very strong creature. Yutan says goodbye to him, noting that she still has things to do, but she remembers everything. By driving off to a good distance away, it stops. She liked the smell of his shampoo very much, and she liked it very much. Feels rather strange. Meanwhile, the hero decides to go back and level up. Bref, he is called by his cousin, who asks if he is looking for a girlfriend again. Emperor ignores this question. The girl accompanying him corrects the guy, saying that Zhao Yu Tan is quite interesting. The hero passes by, considering everything that happens boring. Zixuan, angry at this, and the girl tries to keep the guy from rash actions. When a reborn person enters his room, he sits down on the bed before he even reaches it. Floor. The guy tries to get his breathing in order, mentally noting that he can no longer use the power of the soul. Otherwise it may harm the body, but it can be practiced with a sword fragment. Then someone starts knocking on his door. He opens the door. On the threshold is Yanghui, who says that she actually only came for him. Lin Mo carefully analyzing the information, realizing that she had been dating Zixuan all this time, and now the bull is trying to catch two birds with one stone. Brunet wonders if all teenagers in this world are like this. They are received. At this time, the girl begins to hang noodles on her ears, saying that everyone is following her. The words weren't said because he was more beautiful, but simply the more she was with him. Her cousin, the more she realized that the person she had always liked was him, so she was so calm around him, which was why she could be rude sometimes. She says she's sorry, offering to start dating her, because that's what his mother wanted. Yang Hui even promises that get engaged to him next year and they'll get married right out of high school. The emperor slams the door in the beauty's face. The same woman says that she speaks sincerely and if he wants to, she can even swear to it. The hero is mentally amazed at the girl wants to marry him. He can't lose face in front of his imperial lineage. Also, he thought that the cultivation of his mental state had reached its limit, but I didn't expect that simple words could touch his heart. The hero takes the lotus position and begins to concentrate on practice, trying to think only about improvement. It's coming. The next day, at lunch, the guy goes to the cafeteria, but stops him in class. A classmate who offers to come up and eat with her. He just ignores her, going about your business. Her friends are amazed by the beauty of this ice cube. In the eyes, the lovesick representative of the fair sex Lin Mo is becoming more and more beautiful, and even if she wore glasses, she would have felt like an Asada teacher. A friend notes that she has so-and-so. I have friends. At this time, Zixuan's company occupies one table in the dining hall. Yang Hui distracts from eating, paying attention to the hero. A girl comes up to Tom, offering him a drink. Meet someone and eat together, but he refuses. Zixuan believes that becoming beautiful is not a reason to eat alone. His companion notes that he asked Lin Mo about how he lost weight, and the guy ignored him, fearing that someone will become more beautiful than him. Yang Hui then gets up from the table, saying that she will call him eat because they're in the same class. The hero's cousin does not approve of this decision, not understanding the logic. Girls, because she knows that he hates him but still wants to call him. As he does so, he grabs it by the hand. The beauty easily breaks out, noting that she will go ahead, otherwise Lin Mo can understand everything. Wrong. Zixuan shouts after her that if she leaves, she can't come back. Yang Hui imagines himself in the arms of Lin Mo with his magnificent figure. Her imagination drives her to conclude that her whole life is worth it. At this time, the emperor does not understand how these women, they can be so annoying. Then Yutan calls to him. There's an awkward silence. The two guys whisper to each other. One believes that Lin Mo, Zhao Yutang is captured from their class. Another notes that this is similar to the plot of a drama where an ugly guy becomes a handsome guy and is noticed by a rich lady. Yunchu also believes that it's all over for her, because practically all girls like Lin Mo, even Yutang shouldn't be an exception. The hero exhales languidly, realizing that this girl is calling him fat again. Here, he notices a familiar female figure starting to leave the dining room. He is aware that the roof is about to be stolen. He can't let that happen, so he breaks into a run. Girlfriend. However, Yutan claims that after the fat man has become handsome, it is impossible to approach him. Yutan starts calling the guy, but he doesn't pick up the phone. She gets angry, stating that if he dares to run away after school, then she will never leave him alone. At this point, the hero climbs up on that very roof. The girl beat him to it. She claims to be the first one today, so the guy should leave. The emperor claims that he won last time, so this place, it belongs to him. The demon clarifies that he let her go last time, but he knew that will defeat her again, won't it? The brunette emphasizes that if she can't accept it, then she should. You should just go down and leave without coming back for a loss. These words make the girl very angry. After all, he just forces her to leave, so she warns him not to get married in the future. On it, Lin Mo realizes that he has nothing more to say, so he is ready to fight again. A sinister grin appears on the demon's face. She pulls a small container out of her bag, calling to start a dispute with this. The emperor attentively watches the movements of the girl who is standing in front of him, spreads a go board on the roof and fixes it. She clarifies whether he will play. The bids are very high. Simple. If he defeated her, not only would he get the roof, but she would also fulfill one of his wishes. A wish. Lin Mo takes a sitting position, noticing that the other person will not be able to satisfy his desires. This doesn't make the demon angry, as she's played with her clone for tens of thousands of times. Years old, so he can't even imagine her skills. The hero also smiles, because he thinks that the emperor can't have any opponents, so she doesn't even have a clue who she's up against. Collided. After that, the game starts. Chapter 14. The game of Go begins. After a few minutes, the emperor is a little surprised that even after so much time the game is still going on. He assumes that the girl used to be master of the game of Go. She admits to herself that she didn't expect this boy to be able to be so good. Her situation is terrible. The bell rings, but the couple doesn't care. The demon recognizes that the situation on the board is extremely uncertain, and if she plays carelessly, then he will lose. It bothers her that they're walking side by side. Here Lin Mo emphasizes that if you can't handle it, then let him admit defeat. The girl calls on the guy to give up. The demon notices that classes are already over and it's already starting to get dark, so the guy should admit defeat and stop wasting her time. Lin Mo isn't ready to admit it. If it is a draw, then he must win. The girl is angry because the phone rings, and she decides she won't use it again. She remembers that the guy's in the "you don't have to come home late at night in this world, or you might get into trouble." She decides to take a picture of the board, offering to continue the game tomorrow. Emperor accepts this offer. The girl starts to get up, but her legs suddenly give out. Because she'd been sitting up all day, they were just numb. The beauty falls on the guy, while her good pineapples rush straight to the hero's head.